Let's get this party going. TGIF, thank God. It's Friday. Doc here from North America. Another fun-filled week has passed by. Ooh, let's knock that volume down, too. And we're seeing right off, you can see the dollar moving down. We're using the dollar Swiss pairs trade, showing the actual, or the natural trend of the dollar at the moment. We find that to be a very good product. And you can see it here on our work on the Chicago Quant work. Same situation, breaking down. Lots of red here on J4X. You can see the white line has pierced this dotted line a couple days ago. I guess we don't have a little red line in there. I thought we had a red line in there. All right, let's put our red line in there again. And I like how it disappears. One moment it's there, and one moment it disappears. We reload it right there, like that. There we go. And we've been in the daily sell now for 3 days. Yes, 3 days. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And overall, it had been under pressure here. We went into the weekly buy last week, and we got that pop. And now you can see very cleanly all week long underneath the weekly number. And at the same time, the daily number has been telling us to be safe or be sorry. One or the other. Take your choice. And so you can see here on line 21, there it is right there. You can see 1 week in a buy from last week, which is going to be a 1 right there. We're going to see a 1 going into next week like that, and 3 days in a sell. So it kept you safe even with the long signal. Right there, we had a sell that told you, no, don't be long. So that's where we're at the moment. And you can see on the charts there, because the charts are always explanatory. Let's go like that. You know, it's been a choppy bunch of weeks and months, but now, as you can see, let's go to J4X. You'll be able to see that we've been in a range for about 6 months. Right there, we talked about it. That's what those black lines are right here. It's been in this range, and now it's breaking down, making new lows here, and now making another set of new lows there. So dollar is showing clear, steady weakness. Now, I would say some political information has come out over the last hour or so, and I imagine that it'll start to firm up the dollar at least a little bit in here. But Georgia is now going to do an official audit. I know they've played 2 games of let's pretend we're doing an audit and a recount, but they really didn't. But now, and even when they did that, Mr. Trump picked up something ridiculous. I don't know, like 8,000 or 9,000 votes. But now they're going to do a signature count, which is what everybody's been asking for. And when they do that, Mr. Trump's going to pick up like 100,000 votes in Georgia, and he's going to win the state with no problem. And that's probably the way the game is going to go. And then you'll see it just slowly cave in, and Mr. Trump will be the president in January. And you would assume then our economic numbers and so forth will be a little bit more clearer because his policies are a lot more straightforward and understandable and less socialist, and so it's or not socialist at all, and so it makes it a little bit better. So we'll be watching that as the days go on now, but we have a couple more weeks for this to all play out. But this morning, no more than less than an hour ago or about an hour ago, the governor finally gave up. He said, okay, you can do a signature audit, and that's what they've been asking for from day one. So they tried pretending they were doing recounts, and they really weren't really doing anything recount, but it was so bad, and the fraud has been so high that even when they do anything, they find thousands of votes constantly. Now I can guarantee that you're going to see anywhere from 100 to 200,000 votes shift to Mr. Trump. So that's what we're going to be seeing, and that should have some effect on the currency. We should start to see some firmness there. All right, let's move along to the euro. The euro is doing. I saw the strangest headline with the euro. They said that the reason why there was buying is because the ECB has run out of tools. So they ran out of tools, and so they can't influence it anymore. I guess they're holding it down. You know, a lot of countries like to hold their currency down to try to stimulate economic activity. And so the headline was ECB runs out of tools to influence markets. And so now you're seeing this euro. You can see it there on the chart here. Just marching up. Lots of strength. It's been in a buy since. Let's fix that color right there. Make it that maybe? I guess it's that. Let's see how that looks. That's not it. Must be that. Could it be that? It's a little bit better. If I go like that. Nope, that's not, does it? Nope, that doesn't do it. How about that? That doesn't do it. So let's go with that. So you can see there. Oh, maybe it's a thickness or something. That's better. There we go. So you can see we've been in a buy for a group of days here. And you notice we had the RSI thing up there just to emphasize on this particular product how it can whipsaw you. Like it's trying to tell you to sell it. Our math is telling you to stay long and don't run away. And you can see the weekly is the same way. And then when we go over to, where's it at? Right here. You can see it on the fact check spreadsheet. Let's see. Let's see, where's it at? Right there, line 14. You can see 6 weeks in a buy and 8 days in a buy. So it's been saying over and over for 8 days to be long or you be wrong. That's that hood talk, Be long or you be wrong. Or as I always like to say in the country style of it all, winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right. And that's what's going on there. But what a funny headline that was. The ECB saying we've run out of resources. And now, so the product is taking off, and I guess they've been holding the currency down. And I guess that's the logic of it all. Really, is if you bring your currency down, a lot of times you open the doorway. You could see Turkey was trying to do the same thing. You bring your currency down, it opens the doorway for more business to come to your country because you're able to sell things cheaper to the foreign investors or foreign buyers. In this case here, I guess it could be the same way. So we'll see. It has that look like it's going to stay like this a little bit, or it could be the end of the year of adjustments, one or the other. But I just thought that was the funniest headline. Imagine that. That is how much stranger can finance and investment be than when a central bank says, no, we've run out of resources. So now all of a sudden the currency is leaping up. Wow. All right. So now let's drift over to the cable. Let's see how the cable's doing. It's a quiet morning. No one's really asking for anything yet. So we'll just keep on marching through our adventure until someone says, hey, I'd like to know what gold is doing, or I'd like to know what the Japanese yen's doing, or I'd like to know what Boeing is doing. Any stock, any currency, any indice that we can get on this machine, we will gladly show you on our math how it looks. Let's see right there. And so let's go. There's the cable. You can see it's doing the same thing, playing at its highs. Been in a daily buy for 3 full days, going on its 4th day now. That's right above it too on line 13. 7 weeks in a buy, not 6. And 3 days in a buy, exactly. And so let's see what it looks like here. Now, we've left the RSI on this. And what's curious is that now that's much. Let's see. At least that's saying to be long. And our work, the way we use the what I call the relative characteristics, or the battles of the indicators, is telling us to be long. Let's see right there. There's cable. And so you can see there, we're looking at same situation. It's been in a buy a few bars back. You can see the same thing like right here. That's where it went into the buy on the close of this one, right there. You can see our Hinky-Ashky is green, just like our dots are right here. And you can see the RSI is trying its best to, give some good signals here. I guess it was about the same, yeah, right there. When this closed, it was telling, this way, looking at the two different stochastics, battling against each other was much more indicative of the future direction of a product. Whereas here, it had given you a clean sell, and then the next day it went up. All right, Now, where do we go from here? What to look at? What to do? What to do? What to do? Let's go to the Turkish lira. That's where we usually go. And you can see Turkish lira is giving us a lot of red dots. And look at that. The weekly is trying to get very much onto the edge. Looks like it will survive unless they sell it down hard today. It'll be 53 weeks, 1 year and 1 week in a buy. And then maybe finally we'll see it go into the sell, and maybe it'll get some type of correction, or this is the end of the year sizing up of positions, and people are taking profits and so forth and so on. And I guess since it's going down, you have to assume people are taking profits. It's getting more expensive, right? Oh, maybe not. Maybe they're covering shorts. Yeah, it's not, I guess that's what it'd be. Yeah, taking profits from the shorts, in a sense. Remember, as it rises, the value is diminishing in this product. So it's kind of like an inverse relationship, like trading a bond. And as you can see here, it tried to. Did it get into the buy yesterday? I thought it did. All right. I was going to see line 17. No, we're in the sell again. Okay. And now you can see here, it has been in the sell for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going on a 6th day, so 5 full days. Why does it say 1 there? Right there. Let's just put the 5 in there again. So it's been in there 5 full days, and it tried to get in there with this volatility signal right there. Let's give it a refresh. Tried to give a move into it in the volatility signal, but it was not very successful. So it turned into the plus. The red dot kept it from going into a buy. The next day needed to be the white and the histogram needed to be plus to keep it in the buy, and it did not do it. In other words, make it go into the buy itself, or get it into the buy. I guess that's the best way to describe it. So, and look how close that is. So we're looking at 0.0040, very close. And that is the Turkish lira. Now, normally what we do is we go to the Canadian. The Canadian and the NASCAD kind of lead us into the oils market. And so we go over to the Canadian, because they seem to want to trend together, which is kind of curious, in the sense that they run, when this is going, in this case here, it's gaining value. And as you can see on the Turkish lira, same situation is going on. It's been going down overall. And it's been sideways here, but it's trying to gain value because of the red dots and so forth. And you can see lows of being met, but it hasn't challenged this low yet. And so when we look at the Canadian, they're both usually trending somewhat of the same nature. Have that downwardly slope overall and the weekly trend and so forth. Middle age. Crude breaking out. Top side of that flag. Let's go see. We can always come back to the Canada. Now, the Canada, in many ways, we figure that when this is going down, then what happens is that we always think that, well, then if that's going down, then the NASCAD, let's see, NASCAD is going up. Is it really, though? I thought it might be in a sell. Let's see. NASCAD. And then we're going to take a look at, you can see, yeah, see, that's starting, I guess it's like topping out from it. Now let's just jump over to the crude oil. Usually that's what's going on. And there's your breakout there. And daily buy for 2 full days. And 1 week in a buy going on a 2nd week. So, yeah, I can see we're getting that finally. It's been one of the more fascinating things we've been watching and playing with the last 4 or 5 days, thanks to you, because you cared. And since you cared, we followed. And that's usually the way it works around here. And who knows what ideas that can come from it. And from ideas, since we have to be all proactive, we then go to the level of making a trade ourselves, trying to find some type of option spread I can put on. And so that is why it's so fun in this electronic trading pit, as I like to call it. I think of the webinar, and I say this a lot lately, is I look at the webinar more like an electronic crowd or a trading pit. On the equity floors, we refer to them as crowds. On the futures exchange floors, we call them trading pits and locals. And on the equity side, we refer to them as crowds and market makers and floor brokers. Because on the equity side they're separated, and on the future side they're semi-commingled. So they were totally mingled together for centuries, but in the last 15, 20 years, 25 years, they've had to try to uncommingle them because of the electronic speed and so forth. But that's where we are at the moment there. Now, as you can see, as mature or middle-aged muscle says, it's breaking out on that upside, has taken out that high that we were looking for. And it was a flat flag because the bottom of it, right there, was flat, or a flat pennant. They like to usually call that as a flat pennant. And you see we've taken this high out here. And being in a daily buy and a weekly buy definitely starts to increase the percentage that it will try to do something like that, and it has finally. All right. Should we? Oh, I saved for you. We still have it, the 4 hour, so we can go and look at that too. There's the 4 hour. Right there. And that's been very firm since like here, that big pop. But that's like 2 days ago now. Went down, tried to go into the sell, could not do it because we had a red and a green and just gave us a volatility signal. Then another red and a green right there. And then off to the races it went. So it's taken out that 46.26. What's the high today? 46.68. Interesting. I don't know. The quants show great strength. Yeah, I guess, did you hear what I just said about Georgia? The southern state of the United States of Georgia? The governor has finally sequestered or acquiesced. That's it, acquiesced. He has finally accepted the idea that they're going to do a real recount. So they've done 2 recounts, and they weren't anything more than to prove that they were looking at the election, but they weren't challenging the election. And now that Mr. Trump's people have shown live video now of the criminality of what they've been doing, the stealing of the election. Trump is slowly building his case so that everybody gets a chance to see it. Since the media won't report it, he's just dragging his feet slowly. And so now they're going to do a signature recount. And that's what Mr. Trump has been asking for right from the very beginning. They've wasted two recounts, spent money on something that wasn't necessary, even with Trump picking up 10,000 votes from it. It wasn't what was going to prove that there's hundreds of thousands of votes. The signature recount is going to show that Trump won hundreds of thousands of votes, and Mr. Biden lost dramatically. And so they finally agreed about an hour and 15 minutes ago to finally do it. So that will start to put energy into the oil stocks and the economy, because if Mr. Trump, obviously, I believed all along he's going to be the president in January. So that means he has, much more direction and power of keeping the economy healthy. Yeah, he's going to be the president. There's too much criminal activity, and they've proved it. Trump's team has proved it very clearly, and so the 6 or 7 oligarchs who control the media here in the States, as much as they've hidden it all, they're not going to be able to hide it forever, because people are going to be a little confused when they keep on saying, well, Mr. Biden is president of the United States, then why is Trump in the White House? It's going to be a real confusion there for a lot of people. Like, I thought you said Biden won the election. Oh, yeah, he did. But why is Mr. Trump in the office then? Oh, because he's stealing it? Okay, sure. Sure he's stealing it. Then why don't you just carry him out the door? Send in the Marines. It doesn't work that way. It's a lot of fake news out there. Maybe Mr. Trump is doing all this at a very slow, steady pace to bring out all the imperfections that are going on, the criminality and so forth. So that would make sense why we're seeing the strength here. And in some ways, when we go back to the currency, let's just do that real quick. When we go back to the current, now it's interesting here, as you can see, it's been running, the NASDAQ's been running really strong here. And now all of a sudden it's breaking down. And oil is still lifting up to new highs. And usually this thing, the NASDAQ has a natural tendency to lead it a little bit or confirm it. Now, when we go back to the dollar Swiss, you can see we're making new lows here. And in some ways, maybe that might have more to do with that strange statement about the ECB. That could be that was a very strange statement, I thought, when I saw it. They've run out of resources to control the economy, to manipulate. It's like, whoa, how could they do that? I mean, I thought these guys were generating assets out of thin air. Weren't they printing like there's no tomorrow? I guess not. What they're doing is instead they're printing to buy assets, but they're not going any further than that. So that's just like a stabilizing factor, but not something that grows economies. All right. So now let's finish this currency thing off by, let's see, where did we leave off? So we left off, and I imagine, let's see what the yen is doing. Because usually the yen and the dollar kind of march together, but you can see here the yen is trying to perk up a little bit. We did fall into a sell yesterday. We've been in a weekly sell for like 11 weeks here. So this has been a long dance going on. And, it doesn't that look like the Swiss in many ways against the dollar. The yen is doing like the same thing, except for the fact that it made a new low here, and it's not making that new low here. It had a problem with these. Yes, indeed. All right, now we slide over to the commodities. In case anybody wants to go back to currencies, we will gladly go back to them at any given time. But as you can see here, oil is lifting up from everything we've pointed out, and obviously because middle-aged muscle is definitely focused in on the game, and we're fascinated by trying to find new ideas all the time to trade. So now we go over to gold. You know what? While I'm here, why don't I save that since I'm here? And we'll reload it, and I'll just save it. There we go. So crude oil is saved. All right, now let's go over and take a look at gold. And gold has been perking its head up. It's going through the weekly line, fighting its heart out to get there. It's been staying very firm. Let's reload that just to see what it looks like. Yep, still firm. So, it looks like we may get a chance to see gold slip into the buy. Robin wrote about it on Wednesday, I think. Saying that watch this thing, see if it, closes in the weekly buy. And, same thing with silver. We'll go over and check out the silver too. The strength is there. And it'll be curious is to see how the Bitcoin is. Because it seems like the currencies, currencies, the crypto, I like to call them cryptocurrencies. The Bitcoin more than likely will be weak when the metals are strong. It seems like it's finally fitting into where it belongs, and that is the true uncertainty investment tool. And that's the good thing, is that's what we expected out of the cryptos. And I like to call them cryptocurrencies myself, because I think of them as a cross between, last resort type of investing tools. Hence the reason it's all-time highs. And so you can see silver. We went into silver same way like we did with gold, but silver really leaped up. So let's just save this real quick. Silver really leaped up right at the beginning of the week, getting through the weekly. And, there's the daily buy has been there. So it's been an interesting run since Monday, saying be long or be wrong. And so that's where we are now, is at 4 solid days. This is the 5th day now on a buy. So now the fact that it's through the weekly all week long with the little circle and thing is always cool. But we always do like to see the whole thing confirm itself. And obviously they'd have to really crush this product at this point. But it has been a fascinating almost $2 run, more than $2 run, I'm sorry, because the low is 22.21. So this thing now has a high of 24.49, so it's over a $2 run on the upside over the 5 days, which is, most of it's come from the Tuesday move, which is fascinating. Now let's drift over to. We can take a look at some of this. Oh, we can go look at natural. Let's see, what's the next metal? Do we? Oh, let's take a look at copper. Copper is interesting. It's trying to put itself into the buy. It looks very clean. You can see here, and this is like a little lesson in learning the double dot situation. In this case here, you can see yesterday, it was saying get long, and then at the close of the day, as long as this is over like this, the white line and the black histogram are plus, and this thing is moving plus at the same time, you can buy into it last night, and then let's just put it there. So we officially come in now in a daily buy like that. That's how that converts itself, just like it did it here. So, and then in this case, which is interesting, is that this one did it as a reverse of it, but it still went the wrong way. Tried to go up and then backed off and then cleaned yourself out right there on the next volatility one, which is curious. And we've said that if you follow the math consistently, you're always going to be a winner. A winner, chicken dinner. You'll have your losses. There's always a loss here or there. But overall, the wins will outnumber the losses dollar-wise and numerically of victories. So in other words, about 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, right around in there. That's why we say 8.5 out of 10. All right, let's save that one now. There we are. And if anybody wants to see anything, just shout it out. We will run to it to observe it, to understand it, and possibly find a trade that we can make from it. All right, so that's that. Now, what we can do is we can go just take a quick look at platinum. There's platinum. There's January platinum. It's been marching up. It's been in the weekly buy here. It's been in the daily buy right here. Let's throw that in there. And so platinum has been holding very firm in here over the last, was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since last Friday, it's been holding up very well. And where's it trading now? At the 1,000, yeah, it's over 1,000. So 1,037 versus, where's gold? 1845. So 800. How about that? The spread has come down off of 1,000. It was $1,000 spread for a while there. Now it's a little over $807. Interesting. Very interesting. Very fascinating. Now let's drift over to, we can take a look at the stock indices. So here's the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ's kind of flattish but up. Let's reload that. And it's been in a daily buy, as you can see right here, for a bunch of days. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, going on an 8th day. Been in a weekly buy for 4 full weeks. NASCAD. Where are you? Right there. Good try. There we are. And so that's what we're doing with what they call on Dukascopy the Tech 100. Let's look at it on Dukascopy, on the J4X. This is the Tech 100. There it is. And it's at all-time highs. And you can see here, our buy signal, just like here, went to a buy a while ago, right there. 8 days or 7 days back. A lot of green on the hinky ashy, just like our dots. And you can see even like the CCI has been holding up firm and steady. And, no doubt it's going a little sideways in here, as you can see here. But overall, it's still firm and not really breaking down. So the relative height of it is not what we watch. It's how they react to each other. Good old Albert's concept of relative. It's relative one to the other. Watching Penrose this morning. I talked to Penrose back in 15 at the Institute of Advanced Studies. He was giving a lecture. And after the lecture, him and I talked about something I had kind of disagreed with of his lecture. And he seemed so surprised. It was so funny. Interesting guy. I'm glad I don't even believe in the math that he used to get his Nobel Prize. In other words, I don't believe in black holes. I think they're plasmoids. Out of MIT, they have them listed as plasmoids by some people. And so it's a real real great debate, and Penrose was given, and he's the only one of the only people I can put up with the idea of them getting a Nobel Prize in something I totally disagree with. But I think the guy deserves it. He's brilliant in so many more ways, especially in topological space, and and consciousness and so forth. He is, so it's always funny how they nowadays seem to find ways to give people Nobel Prizes that the math itself can be somewhat dubious. At least in my mind, that's dubious. All right. Anyway, how did I get on Penrose? I don't know. I was watching the lecture of him this morning. He was live yesterday. It was fun. I was rewatching it again. All right. Don't ask me how I got into physics. God, my mind is always out there somewhere. Probably my math. My math is physics, so that's what does it. All right. Now let's take a look at the S&P 500. And the S&P 500, not in as long a daily buy, just because of that little slide that day there. But then it got rolled right back into the buy here. And so the last couple of days it's been in a buy. You can see it's cleanly through the weekly signal. Guess we can widen this out and make it a little bit more visible. And so the S&P 500, which is the global index, basically, of the world, because 50% of the stocks are in the United States and 50% of the stocks are outside the United States. So that, to me, says, hey, this is like a global index. All right, so that you can see here, and at all-time highs again. Everything's at all-time highs. I look at it this way. I've been saying for 3 weeks now, it's the end of the year. Things are going to get tangled up because of taxes and so forth. And at the same time, they're not going to, in other words, things are not going to, when I say they get tangled up, I don't mean like quantum entanglement, but in the end result, it has just as much of a spooky characteristic to it. But in the end result is that it gets tangled up in not following the fundamentals. And I think I believe money believes Mr. Trump was always going to be the president. And so I, have looked at the markets with that attitude, because I can't imagine money pouring into the markets when Mr. Biden is going to literally take us back, 4 years where the market was 50% lower in policies and ideas. So I really have had a hard time even accepting that idea. I keep on thinking money is telling us it's the opposite. Money keeps on screaming that we are going to see a Mr. Trump as a president. That's what I think. And then you can see the way he lays his case out. All right. Did I save that? I think I did. But let's just do it again just for safekeeping there. There we go. Now, we were looking at the gasoline, the crude oil. Let's look at natural gas. Look at the drop that it's been doing. Now, we're seeing some warmer temperatures for December. Not a lot, but we're seeing, in other words, we're not seeing the snow we normally get right around now. And we're only, what is it now? Today's the 4th, right? So, speaking of which, I wonder if we're going to get things from Dukascopy. Have to check the bank account. Let's see. Today's the 4th. And so we're only 17 days away from the darkest day of the year. And you can see here, this has been a nice drop in the oil, or the natural gas, heating homes and so forth. And you can see we've been in a weekly sell since this area in here. And it took a little work for it to do it, but it finally done it, and the sells have been successful sells. And the buys have been good buys to keep you away from up moves. So it's been really nice. And you can see here, we're really burying this thing now. It's really sliding. Let's save that. We should go take a look at RoboGas, too, at the same time. Let's see, what am I looking for here? Oh, yeah, natural gas. Right there. This is the gas oil that is used for the automobile. Let's take a look at that right there. And let's do a reload to that. And remember, traders, if you want to look at something, if you see something you want to look at on your screens, let me know. We'll stop what we're doing here and we'll go check it out so you can see what it looks like inside Doc's Chicago Quant Mathematics. All right, and then we can, and we can put it up on the J4X and show you how it emulates the Chicago Quant. All right. Now, in this case here, you can see Robo has been in a buy for a day, and you can see it's popping up again today. There it is right there. And we're in a weekly buy since last week, so the strength has been, the underlining strength has been for the upside. And sure enough, we're starting to get it to come to fruition. So let's save the Robo now. And there's Robo. Oh, I saw a Russell there. That's interesting. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to drift over to Bitcoin and see if it was breaking down because of the way the metals were up, but we're not seeing that. Look at that. Bitcoin is pretty firm there. Thought it might be down a little bit, but it's not. Oh, that's yesterday. That's not today. So I wonder what we can do here is to get today's quote. Let's see what's going on here. Because there's got to be an overnight market. I wonder where Bitcoin is. Setting. Let's see what 24/7 looks like. Oh, there we go. It shows the weekly things, which is irritating, but at least it shows us. All right, so there we are. We are down. I thought it should be down. You know, really. Matter of fact, it's flirting with a daily sell. When the metals are moving like that, you know, this thing has really started to. The cryptos have really become starting to fall into the position we expected them to be. You know, they're starting to be the opposite of a lot of products that we were hoping they would be. And so let's save that. Also, there's been some big buy-in in the crypto world by institutions, especially Bitcoin, since Bitcoin can be invested in with a futures and an option, and that always helps. That always does. All right. And so, did I save that? I don't know if I did or not. Let's do that. Save and Bitcoin. There we are. All right. I get kitty cat's Alzheimer's here once in a while. And talking and trying to remember what I'm doing in front of you at the same time sometimes becomes elusive. But you can see we've been in a weekly buy in this product for a while. It's like 11 weeks now. It's going to be 12 weeks. The line is somewhere 1 or 2 steps back. We go like that. And there it is right there. See the little green line? Right there. So it's been rocking and a rolling. It's been pretty firm. Could be a top. You know, a lot of this buying has been institutions. I know at the end of this one here, right around here, they someone bought like $500 million or a little bit more, or $3 billion. I don't know. No, it must have been like $500 million. Some of these funds, they can go out and buy $300 or $400 million worth of this stuff with no problem. Guggenheim did it last week, $531 million worth. I mean, when you in a scheme of things, when you have 30 or $40 billion or $25 billion you're invested in, what's three, 4 or 500 million. It's just not that much. At the same time, you can hedge it with a call and a put. You can sell futures against it, so your investors are less weary of it, and you've got it in your portfolio, and they're pretty happy about that. All right. Now, we were looking at the 2 stock indexes. Let's look at the most speculative of them all. And, we can put that in a buy today, too. And that is the NASDAQ 100. Not the NASDAQ 100, I'm sorry. The Russell 2000. That is now become the real stock index. And you can see here we held up, so it's in a buy officially today. And last night, actually. But not at the close, but in the first hour or two, because this is all sticking up. In this case here, we're 3 weeks now. It's going to be this Friday. More than likely 3 weeks in a weekly buy, too, at the same time. Let's give it a refresh, too. Let's give it a quick refresh. Yep, right there. Now we'll save it, like so. There we go. And again, traders, if you want to see something, just shout it out on the chat line. We will go hunt it down. Now, here's the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the futures contract to that. You can see this thing is moving up. And you can see, the weekly is screaming up. So this is another one of those that took a little work to get it to roll. And we are, again, all-time highs. So that makes it even more interesting in the fact that we're at all-time highs in all these products. It's going to be a very interesting January. We've seen markets take off through the moon in January. Now here's the 10-year bond, and it's been having its issues. And I guess in many ways that may match what we've been seeing. With the ECB having issues about tools to buy. In this case here, they may be trying to take some profits in their bonds. When the Federal Reserve normally just steps up and takes care of that. But in this case here, it could be a little bit more pressure on it. There's no doubt. And there's no doubt that the U.S. Federal Reserve consumes bonds and works very hard to keep stability. That's the whole key. That's what all these central banks. Some people, when they say they're printing money, they think that it's like 1925 or something like that, and they got wheelbarrows to buy a loaf of bread of money. No, what they're doing is they are buying assets, so that all that printing of money is basically dead. So what happens if a fund is selling their assets and the Federal Reserve steps up and buys those assets? It's not really enhancing inflation. Yes, let me take that back. It's not enhancing day-to-day inflation with food and so forth, and products. It's enhancing asset inflation. And asset inflation, as much as it looks crazy, and people are concerned about the inflated assets. If we used to say if they have deep enough pockets, they can hold on to it. And we used to say things like on the trading floor, shake that tree hard enough to see what falls out of it. In other words, in this case here, the central banks basically can park this money and not have to look back, since they create assets that buy assets, and they just park them. It's not like the gasoline is going up enormously, or the loaf of bread is going up enormously, or the cost of steak is going up enormously, or the cost of vegetables are flying up, and it's not happening. We're not seeing that type of inflation, and that's a good thing, and so we are seeing asset inflation, which kind of is irritating, because then it takes away the fundamentals. In other words, you can't use fundamentals to try to understand what the value of an asset is. And that's why quantitative analysis now is much more stronger and more accurate than fundamentals, which Janos has talked about, the head analyst of Dukascopy here, has talked about that off and on throughout the years. And he's documented it, and he's made videos of it, and he's made it very clear, and they're very precise and very coherent ideas about asset inflation and the lack of fundamentals, how to trade fundamentals, what to do with fundamentals, where it's become a challenge, a challenge overall. How do you decide, when something's undervalued versus overvalued, that type of thing. I mean, that is a challenge. Whoops. And that's the challenge, and that has been the challenge for a while, trying to figure out assets inflated or they're not inflated. I just had to adjust my mic. It was flying all over the place. There we go. All right, so we've looked through all the commodities at this point, and the stock indices, and the gold and the silver and the copper, and that's where we are with that. Now, does anybody care to see anything at all? I would love to, come discover some new thing. Like yesterday, Daniel came in and, he said, hey, let's take a look at Boeing. And that was kind of neat. Let's take a look at Boeing. I thought it was cool. I want to do that. Unless somebody else wants to see anything else, I'm going to go take a look at Boeing. I thought that was fascinating. And there's that is the metals index, which is kind of curious, since the equity index is falling down and went into a sell. And when we go and look at, where's it at, right here, you can see the metals complex itself of gold there is holding up firm, or silver is holding up firm. See that? They are. Whereas the stocks themselves are starting to peel off a little bit in here. But at the same time, we are flirting with the weekly buy, so that's cool. Maybe, they try to, we always used to say, and still do, buy low, sell high. And in this case here, you got to take them down so you can buy them and then take them back up again. That's the old saying on the New York floor. You got to take them down to take them up, and you got to take them up to take them down. That meant that there was like a lot of, I guess you could call it like an insider trading, or they used to call it, the Securities Exchange used to call it, what was it? Not aware, but they had a crazy word for it, like a sophisticated way of investing. Insightfulness, something like that. It was goofy. Now you can see here the dollar index is stalling out a little bit here. Let's reload that. So they've, as we said, due to the fact that Mr. Trump looks like he's getting his point across very well, you would assume that the dollar would stop selling off a little bit. The economy and the stock indices would be firm, because I can't imagine them racing towards them for a socialist agenda. So the only thing I can imagine is money has been smart and has been saying, I'm nibbling through all this because he's going to succeed. Now there's Boeing, and Boeing's been in a daily buy. Let's wind that out a bit for a couple days. And they're actually showing a little bit higher opening again today. That's not really the trading. They used yesterday's, and the close is accurate. So right now it's trading live at 241.26. And yesterday it settled at 237.20. So it's trading up, where's it at? 41 versus 37. So you're talking about over $4 up, which is not much for a $200 stock. And so that is the action that we are seeing there. Did we get everything there? See what the stock indices, they're doing the same thing firm for today. They all are. The S&P 500. Let's see what Tesla's doing. There's Tesla. Tesla has been in a daily sell for a few days. But today, it's trying to get back into the buy. And I think we're in a weekly buy. Let's see. I don't think we've marked it on here. Yeah, we're in a weekly buy for 3 weeks right there. Let's fix that. Tesla in a weekly buy for 3 weeks now. There we are. And that was an interesting run afterwards. Went from $450 to almost $600, making making Elon Musk the second richest man in the world. Pretty cool. All right, let's save that, and we'll close that unless anybody wants to see anything over in the equity universe. Ah, there we go. How about I just closed it. All right, let's go back there. Let's take a look at the SLV. We had a client that was looking at it for a while. That's why I had it on there. And then I think, didn't we discuss it here with you or someone? Didn't we discuss that, the SLV? There you go, there. What do we got there? I'm not even sure what that's all about. Wow. The 3.5 is really wild, isn't it? Let's just take a look at that. Yeah, so the 5, let's make that black. There we are. So, wasn't the weekly sell all the way up to here, then went back into, no, that's not right. Move that out of the way. And then it went into a sell here. And now, looks like it's going to go into a buy here, and we can get rid of that one, I guess. We can get rid of that. And this one should be moved over too. No, I guess that's it. That's the sell right there. Right before this cliff, and it fell over. It went into the weekly sell. So there's the silver ETF. Interesting. And if we widen this out, let's see how that goes. There we are. It's been in the daily buy. Look at that. We had a volatility signal there on the 27th, and then I guess on the Monday it went into the buy. Right there. And where's the sell at in here? Is that the sell right there? Let's see what that is. That's a +1 and a +3. Okay, so that was a buy. And then it went right back into a sell the next day. Oh no, no, wait a minute. That's not a weekly signal. It's a daily. So it's red. There we are. There's your SLV. Yeah, a couple of weeks back. Yeah, interesting. You know, it's the equity. I guess it's an ETF for silver itself. It's not the stocks. It's an actual. I think it's an ETF on the silver itself, which is better because it matches. Usually, it'll match these ETFs. They're strange, but they do match the day-to-day action of the metals complex. You know, that particular product, whatever it is. In this case here, they're silver. You know, they look a lot alike. See, that's that. And you look at it there. I mean, they have the same characteristics. You know, and we're in a weekly sell here for this big drop the same way. Yeah, see right there, just like here, same thing. Let's see, what was the date there? The 11th, and here it was the 4th. So the futures contract went into a weekly sell a week ahead of time, and then the equity contract went into a week later. Interesting. Oh, you can't see it. What am I doing here? There we are. Let's do that again so you can see it a little bit better. So there is the futures contract, and there is the equity contract. And that's the 11th. And then this week here on the equity one, on the futures one, was a week later on the 4th. A week earlier. Yeah, and so on the SLV at the moment, we are doing the same thing on the weekly. Looks like it will close in a buy. It's really, really close. See that? It's a plus 0.34. So, or the black histogram is a 0.68. Remember, notice they double each other because that's all they're doing. I use the second one for measuring off of the time manifold. That's all so in other words, you're not going to get a plot 1 and a plot 4. One won't be plus and the other one will be minus. Now, they could be unchanged and unchanged, or they can be unchanged and plus 1, or unchanged and minus 1. But they're not going to be. It's very rare for that to happen. Usually they make a bigger move out of that, and that's how that works there. Let's see, a couple weeks back. All right, so that's pretty much done. Let's see now. Where was I headed? I was heading for somewhere. I forget where I was heading. I was heading for somewhere. Oh, the commodities themselves. There's soybeans. You can see soybeans tried to go into a buy yesterday, and that all failed altogether. Look at that. But it has jumped up today. Let's reload that. And there's soybeans. You can see it's flirted with it. It gave us a volatility signal there, but it's still having its issues. It's not able to get into the buy. So it's still fighting to be in the sell. So it can't get into that buy. Throw that green line there just to remind traders. And the commodities are the grains are really having their issues about that. I think someone said something about the producers or something like that are short or something like that. The granaries and all, they're all short this stuff. It's sitting in the field, I can tell you that. So they just need to bring a lot of it in. And since basically a lot of people hedge their grains and so forth through a futures contract or a forward contract, that pretty much puts that you've basically sold your crop wherever it's at. $10, $9.50, $10.50. They've missed the run up to $12 because if you use options, you can protect yourself just as easily on the downside, but you open the doorway for you to make money on the upside. And that's what a farmer should do, or a producer should do. They should constantly try to use the options, but somehow or another these granaries don't use the options correctly. I'm not sure why that is. I mean, it's not rocket science. Well, maybe it is, and maybe I'm just too smart. I don't know. It's one or the other. But I just really don't understand how you can take something that you add and subtract. You're not asked to do differential equations to figure out how to hedge. You can just basically buy puts and then sell some other puts or something like that to drop the cost, And at the same time, between that and the government insurance, if the crops fail, you're in like Flynn. You're doing good, you know? So that's what's always curious about the fact that they don't use those tools. And I noted at one time the granaries were offering options to people. And I don't know what maybe they were doing it naked or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they were selling calls as a hedge, doing something totally wrong, you know, something lazy. I don't know. You know, so they could pretend they don't have to put money out, which is it's definitely against the idea of what we're trying to do to begin with. When you're trying to hedge, you want to protect yourself. So like own a put, not sell a put or sell a call. Well, selling a put would make you long, so they're not trying to be long. But that it does confuse me why they can't treat it like a pipeline in a mortgage company, because that's what they try to do in a mortgage company. They refer to the money's coming out for a mortgage on a home, or when they're lending money, they call that the pipeline, and they try to, you know, run it through it in a sense of being prepared to lend you that money. And so, you know, they don't seem to do that. Now look at that. There's the corn doing that same thing with the two volatilities in a row. And today. So March corn is acting the same way as the meats. And there's wheat. Wheat's doing the same thing. Look at that. Same thing. A little noise starting to kick out there with a couple double dots. There's the last time we had double dots there. And we got a nice little pop. What was it, about 25 cents over a 5-day period? Interesting. And the feeders, they were saying feeders were taking off, and they were, but yesterday they closed in the daily sell there. But we're still in a weekly buy, so this could be, maybe that's what we're seeing in all the different, you know, the corn and the meal and all like that. We're seeing that oddness at the moment. Anybody else want to see anything particular? You know, I'm just going to keep on looking at some of the stuff, just exploring what we follow at Chicago Quant to see if I can find a trade for myself. And those double dots are telling me I think I want to look at some of that, see if there's an opportunity now. Now here it is. There's soybean oil marching along somewhat with the gasoline, or the you know, the unleaded, and the crude oil itself right there. You know, that strength. Wow, look at that. They've topped out a little bit in there, haven't they? Interesting. What is that? That is the 4th. Okay, so yeah, okay. So it's trying to turn up today. So soybean oil is trying to turn up. Interesting. And there's the meal, John Meal, which is, no, it's not in a buy. It's underneath. Let's flip that up over again. Let's check that. That double dots again. There's a lot of them are getting these double dots. There must be some action trying to come out in the grains. Definitely something for producers and everybody to keep an eye on there. Volatility is 4 or 5 days down the road, or less probably. And then there we are. Last but not least, red wheat doing the same thing. Double dots again. There's a lot of that going on. It's rare to see that so many places at the same time, even with them being analogous type products. It's very rare to see that type of occurrence. Something is brewing. And again, it's tax season, so one thing's for sure, people need to size up for the end of the year tax-wise. Yeah, Robin. Let's see. What about the weekly Feb live cattle? Okay, let's go back to that. Feb live cattle right there. It's trying to break down. Let me just reload it again. You can see it's very close. It's trying to break down, but we got a green dot going on at the moment. Oh, that's yesterday. That's yesterday, yeah. So let's see what DEC is doing. DEC is showing there. No, DEC's not doing it either. Let's see if we can do something, change this around. See if we can. I don't think they're trading. That's the problem. They're not even electronic trading. Oh, it's time to run? All right. This is Doc from North America. Everybody have a safe and smart weekend. We will catch you on Monday. And so, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to my electric trading crowd and pit